I'm a 21-year-old male. I ended up in foster care at 9 years old because of the abuse I suffered at the hands of my stepfather, a man my mom kept choosing over me. Despite all the support and interventions that were supposed to protect me, my mom refused to kick him out. Even after she had a restraining order against him, she still let him back into our lives. Meanwhile, she went on to have 2 more children with this man, my half-brothers, who are now 19, Richie, and 16, James. It got to the point where it was obvious that no matter what, she would keep letting him back into our lives and allowing me to be a scapegoat of anything that was wrong in life, and I ended up being removed. After I was removed from the home, my mom was allowed to keep and raise my brothers, as if nothing had happened. From what I know, my stepdad never laid a hand on them. My mom and this man are still together. I know because I've checked her Facebook more times than I'd like to admit. Growing up, it was devastating to realize that my mom would rather give me up than fight for me. She could have kept me if she'd just left him, but she didn't. This abandonment left me with deep scars and a lot of issues to deal with as I grew up. It didn't help that she cut off all contact with me almost as soon as I was placed in foster care. She wouldn't even show up for court-ordered visits. Foster care was also really rough for me. I bounced around 3 different families, and it wasn't until the last one that I got any therapy to help me make sense of what had happened. A few days ago, out of nowhere, I got a Facebook message from my Richie and James. They said they've been thinking about me a lot and want to get to know me. They even mentioned that our mom talks about me sometimes and wonders how I'm doing. They said he'd like to start some kind of relationship, if I'm open to it. And Richie said he would be willing to drive him and James to come and visit me wherever I am in the country. They both seemed nice in this message, and I don't have an issue with either of them. At first, I was going to ignore the message because I don't want anything to do with my biological family. But then a darker thought crossed my mind. This could be my one and only chance to expose my stepdad for the monster he truly is. I could finally tell my half-brothers everything he did to me, everything he put me through, and let the truth come crashing down on them. I know that if I do this, it'll probably destroy any chance of having a relationship with them, but honestly, I'm not sure I want one anyway. I told my friend that I was thinking about doing this, and he said it's a really bad idea that won't accomplish anything I want it to. He said it will most likely just cause them to think I'm bitter and mean and won't make them have any issues with their dad. But, while I know it would be a difficult thing to process, I would want to know if my dad was like that. I would want to know the truth about how my dad treated other children. I don't know how much they know about why I was removed into care. Update 1. So, after thinking a lot about what everyone said and after having a session with my therapist, I realized that my initial plan to tell my brothers everything about my stepdad wasn't really about helping them. It was more about me still holding on to the anger and hurt from my past, and that's not fair to them. A lot of you pointed out that they probably don't know the full story and are innocent in all this. And honestly, that hit hard. I decided to reach out to my Richie brother and told him I'd like to meet up. I didn't mention anything about our mom or the stepdad situation. I figured if we were going to start a relationship, it's better to take things slow and not dump all that heavy stuff on them right away. We ended up meeting at a cafe. I was super nervous, but when I saw them, it actually felt nice. They were both really nice, and we just talked about normal stuff, like what we've been up to, our favorite football teams, that sort of thing. It was weirdly easy to chat with them. At one point, James asked why I was placed in foster care. That caught me off guard, but I decided to keep it vague and just said that things were complicated at home back then, and that going into care was what was best for me at the time. James started pushing a bit for more details, but the Richie told him to knock it off, which honestly was a relief. By the end of it, I was glad I went. They asked if we could stay in touch, and I said yes. I'm still figuring out how much to share about what happened, but for now, I'm just trying to focus on building a relationship with them. I realize that while the past is important, it doesn't have to dictate how things go with them now. So yeah, thanks again to everyone who helped me see things clearer. I'm feeling a lot more hopeful about this, and I'm really glad I didn't just go with my gut reaction to tell them everything right off the bat. We'll see where things go from here, but I'm cautiously optimistic. Some people were saying I was allowing the abuser to get away with it by not telling my brothers. I had DMs calling me an abuse apologist. People calling me a liar for not answering the question James asked when we first met. I never said I wasn't ever going to talk to them about my past. Literally in my last post I said I was still working on sharing my past in a healthy way. With help from my therapist, and yet I had people acting like they knew best and that I should just tell them both right away. So many people arguing about it one way or the other. It does seem like everything I do there will be issues. I will upset someone. I know that, and I am trying to navigate this in my own way, so please be respectful of that. Even if you would have done it a different way. I am in no way letting SD get away with the abuse. I tried everything I could as a child/teen to get him prosecuted. I have accepted that will never happen. Just know I am a real person who reads the comments. Not everything I do is perfect. But please just be kind. I don't say this to stop people from giving me advice. I love advice. Just be positive and kind. I don't need more negativity anyway. In the week since my last post I have met up with my brothers 3 more times. Once with both, and 2 times it has been just me and Richie. There seems to have been an instant bond between us, something that I didn't even know I wanted. I am loving hanging out with them. Which is amazing because I didn't even think I ever wanted to see any of my family again. Never mind start to develop a good relationship with some of them. When I last met up with Richie alone, we went to go see a movie and then get something to eat. We spoke about our plans and what he does now. And we got talking about me and foster care. I asked him what he had been told about me growing up. He said they haven't been told much, but that mom sometimes talks about me. I asked him what he remembered of me and why I was taken into care. He said he has some memories, fuzzy memories and clear memories. But he said he didn't know for certain what happened. He said he remembered a lot of fighting and arguing between me and SD. He said he had one very clear memory of me, but said he didn't know whether it was appropriate for him to share it or not. He asked me what I remembered, and I said it was difficult for me to talk about with people. He said he understood if I didn't want to get into it. I asked him what his clear memory was. He remembered me being about 8 years old, my SD stripping me naked and putting me in a dog's collar and making me eat dog food. He said he remembered his dad hitting me with his belt as I was eating out the dog bowl and crying. This actually happened many times for me growing up, but he said he only remembered it once. I started crying and he apologized for bringing it up, and I said don't. I was glad he at least remembered some things of my abuse. He said he guessed that the abuse by SD was the reason I was taken away. I said yeah. I asked if SD ever abused either of them and he said he hadn't ever. But he said he wasn't close to either my mom or his dad. He said they weren't ever amazingly loving people, but never abused them. He said he was sorry again. We spoke some more about our childhood. I felt safer talking about the abuse since he already remembered some of it. We spoke a bit more about it. I tried answering questions he had and he answered some of mine. He asked if the trauma still impacts me now, and I said yeah. I was open with him that I've attempted to end my own life multiple times because of it. He apologized for not being there for me, for not sticking up for me. I said nothing that happened was his fault, or my fault, and that we can't change the past. After we finished, we both went to our own homes. He messaged me saying he's glad I grew up and that I managed to keep living. He meant it sweetly, I think, even though it came off a little weird. I feel really amazing that I have a brother who seems to care about me. I couldn't even have imagined he would have liked me a few weeks ago. Update 2. I'm still working on building a relationship with my brothers, but it's been more complicated than I anticipated. While things started off surprisingly well, it's clear now that we're all navigating different versions of our shared past. After Richie opened up about his memory of the abuse, we've had more conversations about what I went through. I didn't want to keep tiptoeing around the subject, so I decided to share a little more, but I've been careful not to overwhelm them. James, though, has been acting a bit distant since then. I can't help but wonder if maybe he's struggling to process everything. I wouldn't blame him. It's a lot to take in, especially for someone who had no idea what was really going on back then. And I didn't even really tell him what happened, just that I was abused by his dad when I was young, and that's what caused me to go into foster care, and I only told him that much after he asked me again. Richie has been supportive, but I think even he's starting to feel the weight of it all. We had a pretty intense conversation a few days ago where he admitted that he's feeling conflicted. On one hand, he loves his dad, but on the other, he now knows what a monster he was to me. It's like he's torn between two realities: the dad he grew up with, who was far from perfect but never abusive to him, and the man who made my life hell. He hasn't said it directly, but I think part of him feels guilty for not experiencing the same horrors I did. I think he feels like I got it so he and James didn't. I keep reminding him it's not his fault, but I can tell it's weighing on him. Richie has been hanging out with me like 3 times a week though, and we have a good time together when we do hang out. As for James, he's been pulling away. I tried reaching out to see if he wanted to meet up, but he keeps making excuses. I get it, I probably dropped a lot on him. I've decided to give him some space and not push too hard. I've learned that everyone processes trauma and difficult truths in their own way, and maybe he needs time to wrap his head around everything. Despite all of this, I've started to feel a bit lighter. Sharing my story, even if it's just pieces of it, has been hard, but it's also been freeing. I spent so many years carrying this alone, and while I'm still cautious about how much I share, I'm beginning to realize that I deserve to be heard, too. I'm continuing therapy, and my therapist has been amazing at helping me figure out how to balance opening up with protecting myself. One thing I didn't expect was for my mom to reach out. She sent me a message on Facebook a few days ago, saying she wanted to talk about the past and that she misses me. It was the first time in years I've heard from her directly, and honestly, I'm torn about what to do. Part of me is still angry, furious, even, that she let all of this happen. But another part of me is curious. I don't know if she's finally seeing things clearly or if she just wants to smooth things over without actually addressing what happened. I haven't responded yet, and I'm not sure if I will. It's hard to know if she's changed or if it's just too little, too late. For now, I'm focused on my relationship with Richie and James. I'm hopeful that with time, James will come around and we can all find some peace with the past. But I'm also learning that not everything can be fixed, and that's okay. Some things, you just have to learn to live with. Update 3. So I felt really conflicted after my mom asked to meet me up I really hadn't had much contact with her since I was removed. After really considering it and after reading the messages I got from you guys, I decided it was probably best to not respond to my mom. I decided not to meet up with her and just ignored her completely, as I think even messaging her would make my mental health spiral. It wasn't long after that James asked if I could meet up with him. Which I was happy about because I felt like he had been avoiding me since I revealed everything about what his dad and our mom did to me. Richie couldn't come even though I invited him. So it was just me and James. We went to the cinema. And we were having a good time, when he started talking about our mom and how much she wanted to meet me. I told him I just wasn't ready now, and wasn't sure if I'd ever be ready to meet her again. He started saying how it's selfish of me to not at least talk to her. And I tried to reiterate that I wasn't ready to talk to her and how what she did to me has caused so much pain and damage to me. He started to say something like he's not the same person anymore or something, but I cut him off. I tried to shut it down there and said I don't want to discuss it further, and if he was going to keep bringing it up I would just drop him back off at the train station. He called me a dickhead and told me to just drop him off, so I did that. And not long after that he blocked me on everything. Which I admit I was really upset about. Richie called me and told me that James was upset and had been speaking about me being selfish in the house. And Richie said that it was probably best for me and Richie to go low contact for a while, even though he said he supports me. He said he has to try and navigate it through his home life until he is able to move out and be independent. I understand that, even though it made me really sad. That happened about 2 weeks ago, and I haven't heard anything from any of them since then. Even though I've been sending memes to Richie on Instagram every other day or so. We had been sending each other memes constantly before and he hasn't even opened the messages. Now on to second story. Boyfriend hates my weight loss, wishes I was still overweight so no one else would desire me, and now I question our relationship. I, 21F, have been dating my boyfriend Adam, 28 male, for almost 3 years now. I feel like some context is needed to accurately describe our situation. When I was 15 my older brother passed away in a car accident and it threw me into a depression where I became very overweight. He was my best friend and meant the world to me, losing him led me into the worst years of my life. A few months after I turned 18 I met Adam. He was one of my friend's older brother and we hit it off. He's smart, charismatic, and I loved his sense of humor. Adam is also heavy, but he was so comfortable in his skin it really made me admire his confidence. I couldn't stand to even look at myself in a mirror, so this last year I buckled down and lost weight, a very significant amount, and now I am even below my high school weight. I've never been this fit in my life and I feel so good about myself. My 21st birthday was this last Saturday and Adam and my friends had planned a party for me. Unfortunately Adam had a family emergency so he wasn't going to be around for my birthday. I was completely okay with this and reassured him that it was fine when I drove him to the airport. My friend Andrea recommended that we should instead go to a strip club and I thought that was an amazing idea. I'd like to reiterate that it would have been a woman's only strip club. The next time I talked to Adam I told him about the change in plans and he was very adamant that he didn't want me to go. He said it wasn't that he didn't trust me, it's that he didn't trust my friends. I ended up dropping the subject to not cause him further stress and we ended up just having the party they originally planned. Adam arrived today and I felt something was off. Something has been off since I lost weight. I kept badgering him until he finally opened up. We talked and he eventually told me that we don't even look like we belong together anymore. He brought up an instance where we were at the grocery store a week ago and a guy was asking me questions about watermelons in the fruit section. It was a casual conversation but he referred to my boyfriend as my brother and I quickly corrected him. The guy apologized, said we looked similar and walked off. At the time my boyfriend laughed it off and didn't bring it up again. He then said something that pissed me off so bad. He said sometimes I wish you were still big so no one else would want you. I lost all sympathy and quickly corrected him. I told him even when I was a big girl guys hit on me all the time and just like I always do I told them I have a boyfriend that I love. He looked dumbfounded when I said this. Elle told him how fucked it was that he wishes that I was back at the size where I was depressed and hated myself. He told me he misspoke and I am blowing things out of proportion. We argued more and he ended up leaving to his brothers to give me space. I've been sitting here just pissing myself off about what he said. Did he really think I was that unattractive when I was bigger? If so, why did he date me? Did he think I was desperate to be with someone because I was so fat? I just need some third-party advice. Am I overreacting? Update 1. I've been laying here in the dark and I've read basically all the comments and I think an update is warranted. Basically Adam and I are taking a break and I've been crying my eyes out for the last few hours. He came home today and we both agreed that we need to talk and get everything out in the open. He started off by apologizing for what he said, particularly the sometimes I wish you were still big so no one else would want you part. I asked if he thought I was unattractive when I was bigger and he said no, but he doesn't understand why I'm dieting and exercising the way I am. Adam said I shouldn't have to cook 2 different meals and should just eat what he does, and me going to the gym 6 times a week is obsessive. I told him that it makes me happy bettering myself and he said that it has completely changed me. Adam went on to talk about how all I really care about is my looks now. He said he liked my hair how it used to be before I went to a stylist, he liked how I used to paint my own nails instead of getting them done, and how I used to never wear makeup instead of how I have to have some on now before I go out. Adam then said he knows I lost weight because I was unhappy with myself, but he was always happy with me and he doesn't understand why I have to keep trying to make myself hotter when I was already hot. We talked back and forth, but it felt like I was just doing everything wrong. Adam said that I don't ever want to do things he enjoys anymore, like play video games with him or binge watch movies, and he feels like I'm a different person. I have pushed him to go on walks with me or go to the gym in the past, but he's told me no, so I figured we just had our different hobbies. I feel bad because I see from his point I have changed and I may not be the girl he fell in love with. I told him I love him and he said he loves me too, but we need to separate for a bit and figure out if we're best for each other. I didn't argue, I just said okay and let him pack his things and leave. He's letting me stay in the apartment until I can move my stuff out. I've been crying my eyes out and everything feels like a blur. I don't know where to go from here and I feel like I ruined my first real relationship. You are very young, I know it sounds cliche, but you will find someone else who you are more compatible with in future. It hurts right now, but you just need time. Be strong. Oop, well at the time it felt like me changing my appearance wasn't so much of an issue since he never complained about it, but I see now I was wrong. Now replaying everything in my mind, his reactions have always been indifferent whenever I would show off my hair or nails to him. I still would play video games and watch movies with him, but it wasn't as often as it used to be. For a time that's all we did every day. I do appreciate your input and I know it may sound dumb, but I'm holding out hope we work things out. Look, good luck, but you're going to get hit on and realize you're missing out on a lot of fun. I'm surprised he asked for the break. Seems he would be extremely worried that you will meet someone new and leave him. Oop, from what he said he wants us to take some time apart and connect again. I was also confused by what this meant for us, but he doesn't want us to see other people for now. I know most people are suggesting we split up, but I get this sinking feeling in the pit of my stomach when I consider it. No, you didn't ruin your first real relationship. You are taking a step back from someone who is not supportive or respects you. Oop, yes, and that's one thing that always bothered me. It's so hard having to eat clean and healthy when I had to cook him burgers and other deliciousness. He just never grasped that eating that would have slowed my progress and made me feel awful. The right partner will celebrate and nourish your growth. He's not that. He was only meant to be in your life for a chapter, not the entire book. I'm on a similar journey as you. My husband jokes that I'm not the woman he married. But he supports my journey. We don't need to make 2 meals, which is silly to begin with. If he doesn't want what you're having, he can make his own meals, because he eats healthy with me, even when he would rather not. We have a lot of healthy recipes that work for our family that are pretty good, and serve my calorie, protein, and fiber goals. I wanted to get into hiking, so he got into it with me. When I go on walks, he will sometimes come with me. He has a bad knee so can't do it all the time. He supports me going to the gym, also 6 or 7 days/week, and after several years is talking about joining up too. True partners will support you. They will find ways to compromise, i.e., after you back from the gym, why don't we cuddle up and watch a movie together? Instead of trying to keep you at their level, they will be excited to see you grow, even if they aren't ready for that same growth yet. Oop, honestly hearing about how you are with your husband sounds so nice. I think I just got into the habit of accepting that Adam is the way he is. With the food situation, I knew he was unhappy eating what I ate, and sometimes he wouldn't eat my food at all, so I would make him what he wanted to make him happy. I show love by doing things for others, and I think I did that a lot with him. I would ask Adam to come with me on walks or even bring up the gym, but it was never "I'd think about it" response, just always a no. I see that Adam really hasn't compromised with me on things I want to do, but I can't help but feel bad because I was the one that changed our dynamic. I just don't want to go back to wasting hours and days in front of a screen. Update 2. To get to the point, I broke up with Adam a few days ago and I'm still trying to process everything that happened. Things have been hectic and I'm settling into my new situation. Last week I had decided it was time for me to move out of the apartment. Adam made it clear that our relationship wasn't going to improve unless we took time apart, and as bad as I felt, I knew he wasn't going to come back until I was gone. I knew I wasn't going to be able to move all my stuff by myself, so I decided to ask a coworker if they could help me. The only heavy things I had were basically my bed frame and dresser, the rest were just boxes and suitcases full of clothes. Last Monday I asked my coworker David if he could help me move my stuff into my parents' garage. I know he used to work for a moving company and he has a truck, so I was hoping he could do it for $100 lol. I showed him pictures of my stuff and he said he would just have to take apart my bed frame, but yeah, he could do it on Thursday, which was his next day off. I didn't have that day off, but I had PTO to cover it, so it was fine. Thursday comes and David shows up to the apartment. I show him where everything is and he goes out to his truck to get his tools. It wasn't more than like a minute or two when I hear Adam's voice yelling, "Did you fuck my girlfriend?" I immediately go into the living room and see David with his hands up looking very confused, and Adam asking him, "Did you fuck her?" I swear this was the most humiliating thing that has ever happened to me. I could feel my face get red. I go over and grab Adam's hand and pull him into the bedroom. He's freaking out, asking if David is the guy I've been seeing. I told him he's crazy and that David is my coworker and he's only here to help me move my stuff. He said he didn't believe me and he wants to see my phone. I told him I didn't have anything to hide, but if he goes through my phone, that's a deal breaker for me. He waited a second before taking my phone and going through it. I stood there watching him open up all my socials, all my texts, and even scroll through all of my pictures. It was almost like a light switch went off in my head and whatever love I had for him was gone. I felt disgusted. I told him that I was breaking up with him and he looked shocked. He started apologizing and said he was coming over to tell me not to move out and that he wants me to stay with him, but he just freaked out when he saw me here with a guy. That's when I realized that Adam knows I work on Thursdays, so why was he even over here? I asked him this, but he just kept apologizing and begging me to not leave him. Something in me finally snapped and I screamed at him to get out. I've been mad before, but I've never screamed at anyone like that. He just stared at me, turned around and left. I immediately picked up my phone and blocked him. I found David in his truck and apologized to him and asked if he could still help me, and he said of course. After we had everything put up in my parents' garage, I went to pay him and he said instead I could buy him lunch. I took him up on the offer because it would be cheaper than $100 and I suggested Applebee's. Lol. It was nice getting to vent to someone who saw how crazy Adam was firsthand. After we were done, he went and paid and said I can get him next time. The breakup didn't really hit me until the next day, and even though I cried my eyes out, it felt good, like I got this huge weight off my chest. To be honest, it's almost scary how okay I'm feeling about it all. Maybe it hasn't fully sank in yet and I'll miss him when it does, but for now I feel fine.